Freedom comes through the nothingness of the self. Murdo MacDonald-Bayne. The Father said to him, "My son, you and I are always together, all I have is yours." Luke 15:31. Love is dynamic. It is creative without the necessity of an object. It is immortal, it is life, and life is creative and formless, yet all forms are created by it and with it, and there is nowhere where it is not. Life is not divided, nor is it in one and not in another, it is in all and it is the same life. To understand creation we must understand form, and through form we arrive at the source of creation. Because we are creation in form, and through form we gain experience to enable us to realize that the life in form is the same life that is formless. The life in the mortal is the same life, eternal and immortal. Life and love are synonymous because love and life are one. We can be sentimental over love, but that is not love. The idea of loving everybody has very little meaning if you do not know how to love one. The moment there is complete love, there is complete communion with another. There is no special way to love, there is no pattern to follow. If you follow a pattern, then there is no love. The idea of cosmic love, loving mankind while there is antagonism, animosity and separation, is just talk to cover up the lack of love for another. It is an easy escape for the reformer, for the moralist and the righteous. How can they love humanity when they cannot love another, for is not one the whole? To realize love life, it must be stripped of all personal whims, personal viewpoints. You must not be caught up in the opinion of what it is or what it is not. When you hate, you find hating painful, so you say you must love those you hate, thus you create duality, and because you refuse to understand the full significance of hate, you pursue its opposite. You want to transform hate into love. You try to become loving, while you refuse to understand hate. This pursuit of an ideal implies the conflict of opposites, the idea of something which you are not. You are hateful, so you want to become loving, which you are not. You hold an ideal of love, yet you are caught up in hate. When you understand what you are actually now, your mind cannot be distracted by an ideal. Your mind must be free and concentrated and not thinking in terms of your ideal. The pursuit of an ideal implies the conflict of opposites, the ideal is something which you are not. You are hateful and you want to become that which is your ideal. Your ideal is an example to follow, which means imitation, so your ideal is brought about by not understanding. When you understand, you no longer want an ideal, you no longer want to copy nor imitate, which is not thinking, understanding, but merely a desire to become an ideal. In your daily life you are full of ideals, which means you are not thinking, understanding, but merely imitating. In your desire to become there is imitation, and therefore there is no thinking, feeling, living. Therefore idealists are the most stupid, thoughtless, brutal and ruthless people. Their systems are more important than people. Hitler was said to be an idealist. In yourself you can see the truth of this when you pursue an ideal. When you have an ideal of a perfect state, either the right or the left, you see how ruthless you are bound to be in achieving your ideal. The ideal, the example, is the authority, whether it is imposed by another or by yourself inwardly. Thus there is a cessation of thinking, understanding, so there is fear. The greatest ideal you can have is but a limitation. Freedom comes as your consciousness becomes wider through understanding what is hindering reality from expressing itself. Reality expresses itself in proportion to your understanding the false. Then the life-love reality expresses itself in its wholeness, which is beyond the comprehension of the mind of man. When man only creates an idea of love, while still maintaining his hates, his antagonisms, his greeds and the like, he lives in opposites, which is frustration. Our social structure, our education, and all our relationships are based upon imitation. Our judgment, our thought are based upon avoiding the understanding of what is false. Look at what is happening in society: corruption, degradation, and so on. Why do we not tackle all this falsehood directly, instead of saying that through an ideal we will become marvelous? When you understand the false, you live dangerously, sailing the uncharted seas, being very alert and awake all the time. When you are alert and awake, you are intelligent, you are not exploited by others, nor do you want to exploit others, You cannot be exploited except you belong to the same club. Reality expresses itself through the mind that is free. The great truth is the greatest in the smallest and the smallest in the greatest. The drop in the ocean is one and the same. To feel superior, you call yourself a name because you feel the sense of inferiority. So you want to become superior. Superiority is the ideal you want to become, so the more you want to become, the greater the conflict, which is thoughtless, is it not? When we do not understand, we feel inferior to something, do we not? We want to become because the whole of society is based on becoming something. As long as you are becoming, you must be inferior, for there is always the you and the other. If you know the self to be a nobody, you will understand that becoming is an illusion. When you accept that you are nothing, it is really wonderful. Then you will know what it means to love. You are love, you are life, you are creative. The reward for this understanding is beyond price and cannot be classified with any effort to become. The awareness and mental poise resulting from our understanding is permanently established in us, for nothing in heaven and on earth can deprive us of our birthright. I and the Father are one, through which all is possible to the one who understands the false and dissolves it, then the real takes its place. Jesus did not want to become something. He said, I of my own self am nothing. It is the Father whoever remains within me, he is performing his own deeds. Paul never expressed a greater truth when he said, let the mind be in us that was in Jesus Christ. But before we can have such a mind, we must become humble in knowing that the self is nothing. The fact is that you are nobody. Then why not start from there and face facts directly without trying to become somebody? To face your nothingness means to be humble, and to love. It means that you have no resistance to anyone, no barrier between you and the other, then there is freedom. In freedom the real is. A person who is arrogant can never find humility however hard he may try to become humble. A person who does not recognize his nothingness, but pursues ideas is like a man who, without even knowing how to sow, plows and never sows. Behind all his knowledge, behind all his degrees, titles, and possessions there is nothing. When you really acknowledge that you are nothing, you are everything because you know what love is. You want to know how to love. If your love is the opposite of hate, ill will, it is no longer love. Then your love is just an ideal, an imitation, and the person who imitates cannot know love. If you are seeking how to love, you do not know love. You do not want to acknowledge that you lack love, so you have an ideal to become loving. You are deceiving yourselves and cheating others. But if you understand the whole significance of becoming, it drops away. Then the feeling of nothingness is not the end, it is the beginning of liberation. If your life is filled with fears, apprehension and conflict, it is because you want to become something. If you are stupid, cunning, arrogant, a liar, be aware of it, this is most essential. To acknowledge and live with what you are is a most difficult thing. But out of that will come real love because it sweeps away all hypocrisy. Yes, you may have read many books telling you how to become, but you are still as far away as ever till you know yourself. If I could blaze this truth in letters of fire across the heavens, I would do so. So important is the realization of this great truth. Trying to become is an illusion. Many who write books on truth have not yet found the simple truth themselves, that they are nothing, and when you are nothing you are free. If you love one completely, you will love the whole because one is the whole. Now, you want to know what will happen when you feel you are the whole. Feeling as the whole comes later. But first you know you are nothing and you are not concerned with what will come after. If you are concerned with what is beyond the nothingness of the self, it shows that you are frightened of being nothing. Being nothing, then life is extraordinarily beautiful. Then you will be all there is. The mind is afraid of being nothing, that is, having no security. Yet out of nothingness comes creativeness, because you are free. Then you begin to create, then there is reality, God, or whatever you like to call it. All ideals are tomfoolery and are of no significance to the thoughtful person. When you set them aside, you will find a beautiful and indescribable love that is not yours or mine, but that which is eternal and ever present in its own eternity. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words I speak to you all I do not speak of my own accord, it is the Father who remains ever in me, who is performing his own deeds. John 14:10. Benediction. O eternal love, I thought I knew thee through my ideal. Little did I know how far I was from thee. While I hated those who had no ideals. In my ignorance I held ideals, yet I lived in their opposites. When I understood that I was the creator of them both and saw myself as I really was, full of antagonisms and hate, then transformation took place. Then I knew I was nobody and my struggle to become ceased. I really loved because I was free. When I loved completely, O adorable love, I knew I was all and I became love, one with thee, O eternal love. My peace and my love remain with you. Yours very sincerely, Murdo MacDonald-Bayne.